Hey, Lisa here from UpcycleU. Welcome to my channel where people gather who love thrifting and giving old things a new life. If you're new here, welcome, and be sure to hit the subscribe and bell buttons so you'll know when the videos first are released. And I love to hear from you guys, so please in the comments below let me know which of today's projects was your favorite. Ready? All right, let's get started. In this episode, we're going to explore 3 different techniques to add textures and richness to your projects. So we're going to take this dull plastic apple and give it a concrete look, taking this plain glass vase and giving it an aged and textured look. Finally, we're going to take a glass bottle and turn that into a leather look. On to project 1, creating a concrete look on that dull plastic apple. So first we're going to scoop some baking soda into a cup. To make the baking soda and paint mixture, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. For this project, I'm using a 1/4 cup of baking soda, which I'll be adding a 1/4 cup of paint to. You want to make sure that there are no chunks in your baking soda. Either remove them or smush them so it's nice and fine. The paint I had chosen was a gray steel. And I did bring some white paint with me just in case I wasn't happy with the concrete look. It's fine to add either white or black depending on what look you're going for. But in the end I felt I really didn't need to add any different colors to it. It was just fine. So we're going to go ahead and mix the paint in with the baking soda. Using a chip brush is a great idea because it will add texture to the final piece. And again, we're not looking for a smooth paint finish. We are looking for a textured concrete look. So the chip brush will really help. So I just love this Lazy Susan. I found this at a tag sale for probably $1, and it just is such an easy thing to use when you're painting small objects to reach each side. The other thing I like to do is elevate the object on top of some sort of container. Again, it's just easier to reach the bottom. So this apple is in a little bit of rough shape. It's missing a leaf, so we'll make sure that we do something at the end to pretty that up. And I'm not concerned about the roughness of the texture, again, because the concrete look will be a textured piece, so all of that will get just blended in and painted over. When you're painting with this baking soda mixture, you do want it to be on the thick side. So you will get used to it as you're working with it. Sometimes you might add a splash of water. That's up to you. Again, you want it to cover thickly, so having it a little pasty is fine. So we will be giving the apple 2 coats of this painted texture. I would suggest waiting a good 24 hours. This was filmed in the summer, so there was humidity, but a good 24 hours to really let the paint set is ideal. When you are painting, you want to keep your layers of paint thin. If you try to glob on too much, it just ends up pulling the paint layer beneath it, and you'll just end up with a bunch of bare spots all around your item. So better to take your time and do thin coats multiple times, and just be a little patient with the process. So here we go. The apple has dried with our 2 coats of paint, and now to seal it in, we're going to spray it with a Rust-Oleum chalked matte clear finish, and that will just preserve the baking soda from bleeding through. So our concrete apple is complete, and to hide that missing leaf, I put a farmhouse bead tassel. And on to project 2, where we are texturizing and aging a vase. For paint, I'm using a Waverly chalk paint colored ink, which is a nice dark black. And I don't really get carried away with measuring. It's a small project, so it's just kind of a drop of paint in there. I am going to add a dash of water to thin it out because we will be painting on the glass, so we want a nice thin coat. So I am going to be painting rather quickly because we are going to be rolling this in dirt to give it the texture. So I'm going to try to keep all in one direction. And again, it's a little bit of a thicker coat because the dirt has to adhere to the wet paint. So moving quickly and covering the entire piece, making sure that you get the underside and the lip at the top. So I just grabbed some dirt from the backyard. You don't have to get crazy and buy expensive fancy dirt. So I'm spreading the dirt into a flat cookie sheet so I have a wide surface to roll the vase in. We're just rolling the vase back and forth, and again, you want to work rather quickly so the wet paint does not dry out because your paint is acting as a glue. For any areas that you may have missed, you can always go back and sprinkle with your hand. In this spot here, I built up a little bit of a mound to get the top rotating through the dirt easier, and then I went ahead and sprinkled in where I felt I had missed some places. It's messy, but it's fun. So the dirt's giving you a nice textured look. For the aged look, we're going to use cinnamon. Sprinkle it rather liberally all around. Again, it's up to your taste as how much you want to put on. You can always tap it to shake some of it off if you feel it's too much, or blow on it to spread it around. That's another way to even out the amount of cinnamon. Next, we're going to spray it with polyurethane. Again, this is to keep all of the dirt and the cinnamon in place, and it will also darken up your piece. And there's our final look. Isn't it beautiful? All right, on to project 3, where we are giving a leather look to this Starbucks bottle. To get the leather look, we're going to be using spackle mixed with paint. So white or pink spackle, doesn't matter. I happen to have pink around the house, so that's what I used, and I chose a dark brown paint to give it the leather look. Again, I'm not really measuring. I can always add paint to make it darker, or I can add spackle to make it lighter. Again, it's up to you. So once we've mixed it all really well, I'm going to scoop it out and just plaster it all over the bottle. All right, so again, it's a little bit of a thicker spread that you're giving, and then the key to this is using a plastic bag and just pouncing all over the spackle mixture. So that's what's going to give you your texture that will resemble leather when it dries. So in doing this type of texturizing, I've found that the thicker plastic bag works best. The little thin bag that they often give you to wrap your meat in or your vegetables in didn't have enough consistency to give it a good texture. So I am, really kind of pouncing quite hard to get that texture, and the thicker bag seemed to have a better impact in giving the textured look that you want. So after you've pounced most of the bottle, you can go in and touch up with a paintbrush and just get those smaller areas. And to finish this project, we're going to just put a couple of beads on some twine. I've taped the ends to make it easier to thread the beads. And then we'll just go ahead and make a loose loop and hang them down. I added a sunflower for extra pizzazz with our leather look vase. I hope you enjoyed today's Upcycles. Let me know which one you tried, and I'll see you next time. Bye.